right, let's get started. Hi, Janet. Thank you so much for starting us off.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, you and I are both from Houston. Tell me a little bit about where your family's from and how it was growing up.
I was born and raised in the south side of Houston, Texas. My mom is Mexican American. My dad is an immigrant from Guatemala. And we grew up low income, middle class. I have 4 siblings.
Oh, wow.
So we had a really big family.
Yeah. So you have 4 siblings, sisters and brothers?
I have 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. Yeah, big family.
Yeah.
So how was that?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always had someone to lean on as far
Yeah.
as sibling wise, but it was a small house, so it was kind of crowded.
Yeah. Imagine. Did you guys have any animals growing up too?
We had everything you can imagine.
Seriously?
Yeah, we had a zoo.
So apart from having a chaotic household with all of these people and animals running around, I'm curious, how were emotions handled within like conversations between everybody?
Conversations with emotions were not really discussed. I think I knew emotions were there.
Yeah.
And I had my way of expressing them, but it wasn't through communication. It wasn't through sitting down and asking for help, or it wasn't through saying, this is how I feel, what should I do? It was just either shutting down or maybe with anger, but never actually expressing how I felt. The only emotions that I ever really saw growing up were happiness or anger.
Yeah.
There was never anything in between. And so if you had a moment where you felt sad or you felt like you wanted to cry and you needed to express yourself, it wasn't ever anything that you can do without feeling, I guess, guilt some kind of way.
Yeah. No, I totally resonate with that.
I think happiness is kind of like the base, what everybody should feel. So it's okay to show that constantly. And then if we were sad, like I said, any other emotion, we really didn't vocalize it.
Yeah.
But if we were angry, it was almost like, okay, anger is like you're either happy or you're angry, and an angry was shown not by just speaking it. It was shown by, a temper or... I'm guilty. I'm not saying it was anyone else. It was specifically
it was me. No.
It was me. I was the problem. But yeah, it was either happy or angry, and it went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah. And I think, too, a lot of the things that we would see growing up, like if you look at any of the shows, telenovelas for sure, you see these kind of swings.
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a scene where 2 people are sitting down and saying, you know what, this hurt my feelings and this is why. No, we saw... you did this and this huge reaction. Which is like all for the drama and we're there.
Yeah.
But I think that's also part of that.
I think another part of it is showing sadness or vulnerability or anxious or shyness. Anything like that is a sign of weakness in our culture.
Yeah.
And I felt like the reason why anger is so accepted is because we're always having to portray being strong, being brave, being courageous. And I think in our culture, anger looks like that. Defending yourself, standing up for yourself. You know what I mean? Being bold. And so that's automatically connected with that. So if you can show your anger, if you can put people in their place, then it's like, okay, you're good. You can take care of yourself. You're strong. But there's definitely other emotions that we should work through.
Yeah, no, I see that 100%. I think I've personally experienced it, and also in a lot of clinical settings, people say that, if I have anger, then it's actually a reason for me to get motivated, to feel like I can fight back against something. And I think that's absolutely true. I think there's a range of emotions that we can feel, and they all tell us something different. It's the process of learning to sit with it for long enough that you can hear what the emotion's trying to tell you. I think that process gets hard.
And it gets you right into action.
Yeah.
When the other things,
Yes,
when
it
you
does.
actually have to sit down and feel it, that's when it gets scary.
Yeah.
That's when it feels like, okay, am I weak? Okay, am I like showing myself off to the world? Like, sitting with those feelings, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. And then a lot of the times you don't know what the next action is.
Yes. I think that's also a hurdle, because not only do we not know as much how to sit with maybe an emotion that's not happiness or anger, but say we're sitting with sadness and we're like, okay, cool, I'm sitting with sadness, I'm doing the thing, but I don't know what to do after, and I get lost, and now I'm afraid I'm going to stay lost in the sadness.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like that is also I think that makes sense, that people think, well, I don't know what to do after that, so why even touch it? Why even bother? Yeah.
And not knowing that putting things away for later and storing it is when it gets really heavy, and then those emotions get worse. I think a lot of us do a disservice to ourselves, not realizing that when we don't sit through those emotions, that we don't take care of ourselves, that we don't have anything positive to give to anyone else around us.
Yeah.
And so if we're not unpacking those and working through those, we're not able to be good partners, good daughters, good moms, good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It affects everything in our life and everyone around us. When I go back to me being younger, I wish that I would have realized that I could have put things in my toolbox that would have helped me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're sad, but go touch grass. Go sit in the sun. Go read a book. Go journal. Get your feelings out. There's so many resources and things that you can do to help you day by day, and I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So I did actually start my mental health journey when I was really young.
Yeah.
I was probably about 12, and I was put in therapy, and I was medicated, but it wasn't as a, hey, there's something going on.
Yeah.
Let's go to the doctor. Let's talk to somebody and let's figure it out. I kind of felt as if it was more, I don't know how to handle this. Yeah. You're crazy. Go and fix it. Let them fix it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best experience, because I mean, at that time, I didn't know that it was very trial and error with who you went to talk to, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel a connection with the therapist. I didn't feel like they were helpful. And then the medication that I was on was not, I had really bad side effects, and it almost made my symptoms worse.
This is whenever you were younger.
Yeah, I was about 12.
Yeah.
They made my symptoms worse, and then so we ended up getting off the medication, but that was it. It was like, okay, no medication, and then we're never going back, and we're not trying something else.
Yeah.
When I feel like if they would have known that you have to go through those trial and errors and seeing who's the best fit to talk to and seeing what's the best medication or what's the best combination of medication, then I think that it would have helped me even more. And I think that if I would have continued my mental health journey there, when I got older, it would have been easier. Bringing kids into, I think, letting them know that what therapy is and why it can be beneficial, so they're not going into it blindly, but then also treating it as normal as a regular doctor, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they don't feel any different or like something's wrong with them in the case that they do need to go see a therapist.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and that's hopefully a part of this narrative that starts changing. This conversation around mental health is something completely different than your physical health or your heart health, or, and it's the same. We're taking care of our mind, we're taking care of our body.
I think something that a lot of people don't realize is how connected it is, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself mentally and you get to a place where it's so confusing up there, right? You're more likely to get physically sick in some kind of way. There's a lot of autoimmune diseases that are connected to trauma and things that people that have gone through. There's a lot of stress that will make you sick. So I think just putting emphasis on the fact that they're connected is another way that could be super helpful for people to want to put their mental health first.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that our culture is they put emphasis on working hard and not giving up, right? That work ethic and being bold and being courageous. And then we're faced with a lot of us are immigrants, right? Yeah. And coming in here and don't really have the opportunity to say, oh, I need to sit down and feel sad.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? I need to just keep going
100%.
and work and be successful and make sure that coming over here was worth it and taking care of my family. And so I feel like it's often overlooked because we're just trying to get by.
Yeah.
And you not only don't have the time, but they also consider it a sign of weakness to sit down and talk about feelings, you know?
Yeah, I think one, if we have something to do, I'm sure like you were definitely taught you need to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever it is, even if you have a physical pain. So the same thing with the emotional pain, mental pain. If you have a physical pain and you have something to do, you figure out a way to get that done. And I think that, you know, under a lot of circumstances, that kind of like grit is great. And it's part of the resilience in our community.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it makes it hard for us to know when to stay still and to rest. And to reflect on how we're feeling about something.
I think we're able to have these discussions and sit down and with these feelings and talk about it and talk about trying to break the cycle because of the work that they did to get us over here. And you know what I mean? And keep us stable and for us to have better opportunities. So I don't think we would have been able to do it if they wouldn't have worked as hard.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think that taking the space to now learn to sit with things and try is in a way honoring that work and that sacrifice, because they didn't have those opportunities to do that. And so when we rest, when we sit with something, when we try and talk to our friends about, hey, I've been feeling sad, that could be seen as a way to honor all of the generations before that could not do that.
And I think that makes me a little emotional without me realizing it, because I don't think that is something that I've been honest with myself about it. But now I think about it, I'm like, man, they did work hard, and I would love for them to be able to sit down and talk about their feelings. I would love for them to realize, hey, like, it's hard, and all of that is heavy, and let's unpack it, and let's talk about it so you don't have to carry it anymore, because you deserve that, you know? So, yeah, it does make me a little sad.
Is there anybody that kind of comes to mind?
Yeah, my parents, for sure.
Mine too.
My parents, for sure. I don't think I've ever seen my dad sad.
Really?
I don't think I've ever seen my dad show his emotions, and my dad is the one who carries everybody on his back. So if I sit down and think about the person who deserves it the most, then he deserves to be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He deserves to be okay. And my mom too. I feel like my mom showed a little bit more emotions, but she'll start to talk and then she'll kind of reel it back. So yeah, my parents definitely.
So I think it's just, you know, we're speaking to these complexities and understanding how to find that balance is unique to you, to me, and it's hard.
And it's so much more than sad. I mean, that's how burnout happens, right?
Yes.
I think burnout is a big thing I see it all the time. I feel like I experienced burnout, and I was the first one that's like, this is not okay. Like, we need to fix this, you know? But then I look at everybody around me, and a lot of people in my family, like my sisters, I think are amazing. They're mothers and they're family women, and they do burn out. You know what I mean? They do make sure everyone around them is okay. How can you not? You're only human. Yeah, and so I just feel like that's something that needs to be discussed a little bit more.
Yeah, no, for sure. How was mental health discussed in your family? If it was, what messages did you grow up hearing about that?
It wasn't discussed. Mental health, I think there's so many resources now, and there's so many ways to understand it.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, there was no... It was either you're fine or you're crazy.
I think that there's a lot of things that make it complicated for people to talk about how they feel. Yes, it's I don't want to appear weak. I think many other things are el que dirá, quiero ser una familia ejemplar.
Oh, yeah.
There's all of these different ideas about what a family should or should not look like, what a mom should or should not do.
And these things that I say, I think they come off as stereotypes, but I have friends, and they talk to me about their parents, and they're all the same.
No,
but we're so big on reputation, right?
Yeah.
I think that is something that they're stuck in their ways about, like, just keeping stuff hush hush.
Yeah.
And if we don't talk about
it, doesn't exist.
It's not there.
It's fine.
It's not there. Exist. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Just smile and take the picture.
It amazes me that is such a thing. It really is. I mean,
as opposed to us, I'm like, no, listen, this is what's going on here.
And I love that shift because I feel like that's more real, and it puts a much less pressure on everyone else, because we really were raised in a culture where quieres hacer la familia ejemplar, you take the picture, you smile, everything is good, when in actuality, I mean, behind closed doors, we are struggling to communicate. If we do have a person in therapy, that's okay, but we don't seem to understand what's going on. And that could be so harmful.
Okay, so going to my journey as I got older is, I think that happened when I was little. It left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And then I think in my 20s I struggled. Okay, so in my 20s when I decided that I wanted to, where I was building this toolbox of things that make me feel better, I had realized that my mental health journey that I had started when I was little left a really bad taste in my mouth. And that it got to the point where I was like, okay, because that didn't work, I closed off and I sat with my feelings continuously. And those feelings, now everything that I feel that's not happy is automatically anger.
Oh, that's what you were finding in your 20s.
That's what I was finding in my 20s.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm not a joy to be around. People don't like me.
So it's time to get real with myself.
No, like, people, I say this all the time. I tell people this. I'm like, dude, 10 years ago or more than 10 years ago, you couldn't look at me the wrong way. I wanted to fight you. Like, I wanted to fight all the time. Like, I was just not, people were scared of me.
There was anger.
People were scared of me. People didn't want to be around me. Like, I felt people whispering when I walked into a room, you know? And so I was like, why don't people like me? Like, my own family didn't want to be around me. My own it's true, and nobody believes me. But my family, like, you could call my sister today and she'd be like, girl, that was growth. Like, you are different. She's told me, and I'm glad she's told me. But yeah, my family did not want to be around me. And so I was like, why is everyone so negative about me? Like, why do they hate me? Like, why are they scared about me? Why are they scared of me? Yeah,
just like, I don't get it.
It's funny, yeah. I was like, why is everyone scared? Nobody wants to hang out with me. Like, am I the problem?
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, I might be the problem. It's like more people than none. I'm the problem. And so I was like, okay, so who do I want to be?
Yeah.
How do I want people to feel when I walk into a room?
Wow.
What do I want people to look at me as? And I was like, okay, I want to be a safe space. I want to bring joy to people. I want to light up a room that I walk into. And I was like, how do I do that? It can't be that hard. I'm me.
Yeah.
I should just be able to change who I am.
Yeah.
And
we're changeable
portray
beings.
myself as I want, right? And I'm like, okay, but they might think it's fake. And they might not accept it because they've never seen that before, you know?
Very
and then
honest
so
questions.
I became self-aware, and then I started kind of changing outside of the family first, and like being the person that I wanted to come across, right? And so
really quick, how did you practice self-awareness?
I think more by being honest with myself and really, I mean, dumbing it down exactly how I said, like, what's wrong with me? What don't I like about how people react towards me?
Yeah.
They're scared of me. They don't want me around, and this and this and this. And okay, what do I want to be? How do I want them to feel? Okay, this is what I want. How do I do that?
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, step
how
by
do I
step.
do that?
Yeah.
And then catching myself in the moments when I was back on this wrong side that I didn't want to be anymore.
Yeah.
And then finding a way to shift it to how I wanted to be. So I started practicing with my friend. It sounds silly practicing, but it was true.
It is practice,
right?
yeah.
I wanted to be the friend that I want.
Yes.
You know, I wanted people who I was friends with to be like, she brings value to my life. And
Yeah.
I can't live without her, you know?
Yeah.
So I started practicing that and it just felt better. It felt better. And then so I would bring it around my family a little bit, and I didn't feel accepted. And I didn't feel like they knew how to act. Think about
What
it.
were their reactions?
I mean, think about it. Think if I'm like an asshole to you one day and I treat you like crap. And then the next day I'm like, hey, what do you need? I can help you. You're like, what? You know? What? And then it was like, I think they would see, I would get my feelings hurt because I would see sometimes that they would see how my friends saw me and they'd be like, why do you have a different persona with your friends? Like, why do your friends get a better Janet? And it's like, no, they don't get a better Janet. I just tried to be better, and they accepted it. And then so I just little by little was like, you know what? I don't care. This person makes me feel good. I'm just going to be that person all the time.
Yeah.
You know? And if you can't accept it and you're caught off guard, like, this makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so, I just kind of switched how I was with everybody, and I did the things that made me feel better, and I practiced the things that I thought could keep me in that mindset.
Yeah.
And it worked.
What were the things
and I thought I had the answers.
Yeah. So we're in your 20s and you're like, great, made it, done. Healing,
like, yeah. And I was telling everybody, like, you feel this way? Girl, journal. Go read. Go for a run. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to you. You control your emotions. Like, I was very much like, you can feel however you want. Yeah. And like I said, I thought I had the answers. Yeah. And then I hit my 30s. Yeah. And I started going through some things. And I was like, what the hell? Like, all of that work, it feels like I never did it. And then I started to get scared.
Okay, so right before we go there, I'm curious, as you were saying that so much of it was como estos arranques, anger, these quick to respond. How did you, because I'm sure, you know, as humans, we get upset. Yeah. So how did you respond in your 20s toolbox? How did you then start to respond to anger instead?
I love it. Because I still respond to it this way. I do. But because I was angry all the time and everything made me angry, it became picking your battles. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if someone looks at me wrong, am I wasting energy on that? And I'm gonna let that ruin my day? Or am I just gonna be like, girl, you got a problem, and then keep going? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it was like that. And to the point that people around me were like, dude, stick up for yourself. You're being a coward. And I'm like, no, it's just that it's not getting to me. Yeah. That person doesn't matter. That moment, I don't want it to ruin my day. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep walking. Yeah. And so I think it was very important to me to really just, when something would happen, instead of immediately reacting, taking a step back and saying, okay, do I want to react? Yeah. You know, is it worth my energy? Because I only have so much energy. Yeah. Is it worth it? You know? No. Like, I'm going to waste that energy on going to happy hour with my friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not doing that. So yeah, that was super helpful.
Fair. Yeah. Okay, so now we're in your 30s, and you have this toolbox that you've built in your 20s, and you're like, great, healing done, I got it. Yeah. What happens in your 30s that disrupts that?
I started going through a lot of things at one time. And so when I was in my 20s, it was mainly, I didn't have really big major problems. I thought they were in the moment. Yeah, of course we do. I thought pulling all-nighters to study for tests and learning how to live in my first apartment and those things and working a full-time job, I thought all of that was a struggle. Yeah, which it is. It's just a 20s struggle. Yeah. And then my 30s came around and they're like, no, girl, sorry. You sorry. Here, you thought. Like, literally pushed me. I mean, I had, like, losing my house to a natural disaster. Oh, my gosh. To going into divorce and separation and COVID happening and just so much more that I never wanted to experience and I didn't know how to experience. Of course. So then it became these tools that I had put into place in my 20s. I was like, okay, like, let's reach for that. And this normally works, and nothing was working. Nothing. And then I started to get scared because I'm like, you think about it like a lifesaver, right? Like you're drowning and those tools are like you can grasp on and save yourself. I was reaching for those things and they were not saving me. And so I started to get scared. I'm like, well, if something that I depended on for so long is not working now, what happens? Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't go back to how I used to be. Right. And I don't want to. Right. But at the same time, at this point, I don't even feel like I'm surviving. Yeah. You know, I don't have answers, you know? And so.
How did you see that in yourself? Like, what did that look like back then in your 30s?
I think it went from before.
Well, you're still in your 30s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Still in my early 30s.
Yeah, she's 52.
So I think that in my 20s, it was a lot of anger and less sadness.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my 30s, that not being able to survive feeling started turning into sadness.
Okay.
And then I didn't know how to handle sadness.
Yeah. Sadness came in.
Sadness
unknown.
is scary.
Yeah.
You know?
It can be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anger, I think you could like, I could punch a wall and I'm good. Like, that's how I should. That's not how I should. That's not how I should. But you know what I mean? Like, some people slam doors, punch walls, whatever. 100%. Anger. Sadness.
We don't know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't like her. She's scary. She was scary.
Yeah.
You know? Now I cry for everything and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I'm in a good place. And I'm not scared to show my emotions.
Yeah.
Then I wasn't in a good place. And then this emotion was just creeping up. And it was creeping up and feeling lost and alone and crying. And it felt dark. Mm-hmm. It felt dark. And it felt lonely. It felt really lonely. And so I started to get scared because I felt as if it was overcoming everything. Like it was taking over my life and I didn't have a grasp of who I was or who I could be anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's when I started like asking for help, you know?
How was that transition for you? Was there any internal dialogue that got you to, maybe I should talk to somebody, maybe I should reach out?
Yeah. When I realized that this is scary and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm scared of what happens if I don't get help.
Fair.
And so I didn't know what help looked like.
Yeah,
at the
also
time.
Fair.
You know? And so my only tool at the time was to talk to my friends.
Yeah.
And talk to the ones that were there. And it was almost like, it really was a cry for help. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know how they were going to take it.
Yeah.
I was just, hey, I'm scared. I remember exactly where I was. I remember who I was talking to.
Wow.
I remember the conversation where I said, I'm scared. I feel like I'm drowning. And everything that I looked to help me previously is not helping.
Wow.
And they said, okay, well, have you ever went to talk to a therapist? And I said, oh, I did that when I was little.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work out.
No, thank you.
And they're like, well, okay, did you try again? I said, no, you could do that?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
You could do that? You could try again? And so I started going to therapy and I talked to someone that wasn't a fit. And then...
Was it hard for you to start going to therapy? Even making, because I feel like even looking or booking that appointment, that could be really hard.
Absolutely. It was so hard. It was so hard. And I tell people, I'm like, thankfully, I was okay to keep going. But I can see if somebody was in a darker place than I was at that moment, who had one conversation with the insurance company that felt too difficult, I could see them giving up.
Did those things happen?
Those things did happen.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
So just calling your employer and talking to your insurance and then seeing who would be covered and then making appointments with people that aren't covered and you find out last minute and then having to find another doctor again and then availability for these doctors.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I felt like I was drowning and I wasn't going to make it. And every place that I was calling said, 2 months from now? And I was like, wait, 2 months from now? I won't be here.
Say
help,
what?
you know? So those things, and I remember calling my sister and telling her, like, imagine I cannot get an appointment for 2 months. Imagine someone worse off than I am.
Yeah.
You know? And so those things are definitely things that I like to talk about as ways to help people understand, like, don't give up.
Yeah.
When you decide to go to therapy, it's still going to be, there's still going to be some hurdles in your way.
Did you hear any of the voices of the stigma of things that we would hear growing up during that journey?
By people around me?
In your own head, you know, even I don't know if I should be doing this. Does this make me weak?
Yeah, I was already going through things that I felt my culture wasn't going to accept. Oh, you're getting a divorce?
Yeah.
You didn't work on your marriage? You know what I mean? I was already going through those things. And so I was like, are they going to think that I'm messed up? and I'm weak.
I'm crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then is my mom going to think back to when we went when I was little and then wonder if I ever was okay?
Yeah.
You know? So definitely, but I think at that point I realized, okay, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be okay.
So let's talk about your first session. How did that go?
The first session was on a Sunday. It was Easter Sunday. And I was so heavily depressed and anxious and went to go spend time with my family. And on the way up there, cried the entire time.
Oh, wow.
And then felt like I couldn't be around everybody. And then cried the whole way home. And I didn't, that's not normal, you know? And so I tried to talk myself out of not logging on because it was virtual. I tried to talk myself out of logging on. And then finally I said, okay, fine, let me just do it. So I got on and I cried the entire session and was asked several questions and realized, okay, I'm not okay. You know, I'm not okay. And I didn't know that. I knew it was dark, but I didn't know it was this dark. And then it was when that therapist said, you live by yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't look like you're okay. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
And so we need to get you to a place where it's healthy.
Yeah.
And you're okay to be alone. And then so that, I mean, we went on for a while and then eventually took next steps, whether decided if we needed to get medication and then go from there. And then that was a bit of trial and error within itself as well. So the first set didn't work. And then so we kind of regrouped and went somewhere. We regrouped and looked at something else. And then that didn't work. So I went to go see another doctor and got a different combination. And that's pretty much ended up working. Great. And that's the doctor I've been with since. I think a lot of the times we think that we're all starting at the same base and we're not. Yeah. Right? Everything from how you grew up to the things you went through when you were little, that builds your foundation of how much you can take. Yeah. And so it's like, how did she describe it? She said, you were fine before because your glass wasn't as full. Yeah. She said, but then your glass slowly over the years started getting full. And then divorce. And then losing your house. And then, what's happening now? Now your glass is overflowing. Yeah. And now you need a little bit of extra help. Yeah. So I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think
example.
Yeah, example. That example made it to where I understand other people and I'm more empathetic towards others. Because then I realized, you know what? We didn't all come from the same background, right? Yeah. And some people are privileged to have that glass empty and can handle more or maybe even have more support as opposed to people who grew up and they went through everything. Yeah. And by the time they're in their 20s, their glass is full. Yeah. You know, it's not an even playing field. So that was super helpful in helping me understand myself and other people as well.
One, it's not an immediate thing, right? So on both ends. Yes. When you go to session for the first time, it may or may not be a click. So I think a lot of times we think it's immediately going to work and it's going to be great. And sometimes that match is not necessarily there.
For sure.
But it's not necessarily, that's not the way that it happens.
And I think another thing that people fail to realize is background it does play a part. So I had found myself previously talking to therapists that couldn't relate to me. Couldn't relate to where I came from. Yeah. You know, were raised differently. Maybe more faith-based than I was raised. Yeah. You know, maybe came from, you know, the most privileged life and has no idea what it is to be low income and the first person in your family to go to school and all of those things. So I really had to do some research and find somebody that could understand when I spoke about those things.
So now, how would you say that you support yourself with your mental health?
I think by giving myself grace more than anything, realizing, okay, it's okay to not be okay, and realizing that for me, that's a priority, putting my mental health first. Some people who have gone on a mental health journey, they take care of themselves, but it might not be the number one priority, right? In my life, it has to be the number one priority.
Yeah.
Because I do need a little bit more help.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, right? And then I think just not hiding it and not being ashamed of it, right? Because then it's like, I don't want it to be this secret and something I'm ashamed of. And no, not at all. So just being open about it to people around me just makes me more accepting of it. And so it's super helpful.
Yeah, 100%. So what were the things that you began to do in your 30s, now going with the therapist, that you guys learned together that is now working for you?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do I do?
That's a good question. I think learning about, being medicated.
Yeah.
I think that was a big thing a hard pill to swallow, and realizing that we're not all on the same journey for that, and someone else's fixer is not going to be mine. Realizing that things can change, right? If I decided that I wanted to slowly wean off of that and make those necessary moves, then I could. And I could put a game plan in place for that. So just always keeping communication with them about my needs, where I'm at, doing the check-ins. And then just overall, just keeping that self-awareness. And I think that's why it's so important to talk about it and make it a safe zone within your friendships, because all of the people that I surround myself now with, I can sit down and have these conversations with. And a lot of the times that is what we talk about. We check in with each other. We share resources. This is working for me. Oh, maybe I'll try what you're doing. And it's not taboo. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not something that we just hide and don't share. And I think that's very helpful in just building your community.
Yeah. Now we're talking about health, all aspects of health.
Yep.
So what about in terms of dating? Is it something that has seeped into those relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because one, when you're trying to find a partner or you have a potential, right? You want to make sure it's somebody that is as self-aware as you. Yeah. I want to be with somebody that has done the work.
Yeah.
That is open to counseling or therapy, or has done it in the past. Who's open to talking about their feelings and working through things together. More importantly, recently, I've been very forward and upfront in the beginning about where I'm at in my mental health journey and me being medicated and what that looks like, just to put it out in the open before. So just simply bringing it up front, like, hey, I'm an advocate for mental health. I take care of myself. I go to therapy. I do this is needed, and I just wanted to let you know beforehand and make a decision from there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mental health is health, right? And I think a lot of times too, it takes a bit of maybe exposure, educating yourself to unlearn a lot of the really judgmental things that these labels that people put on medication, on taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, being vulnerable, like we've talked about today. Sure. So I think people do need to look into it especially when you come from a place where there is a lot of stigma around it. So it's something that you have to kind of take that step.
And I think as women, it's harder because I think men have it tougher, right? So when me as a woman, sorry.
Yeah.
Or like when I'm dating I meet a man, I automatically think, okay, we both have the same background. We both grew up with the same type of culture.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to talk about my feelings, but men just are required to be stronger overall. So it really takes more work to get them to talk about their emotions and to feel comfortable. And so when dating, and if you're thinking about maybe moving forward with getting married or having a family, you want to make sure that the partner that you choose is ready to not only take care of themselves and be open to where you are in your mental health journey, but to be able to move forward in raising your kids in a way that you are breaking those cycles. Yeah. And that whatever your kids might be going through, they'll have a safe space in their parents as well.
Yeah. So, both. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, expanding this idea of strength, right? So there's strength whenever we need to pull through, and we can show grit and say, okay, I'm in pain, but I need to show up in this way or this form. And then there's also strength now that we're expanding this term to include, hey, I'm feeling this way and I'm going to put it out there because I know that that brings me and my partner closer.
Yeah,
It allows my child to come to me when they have a bad day. And even though I agree, I think, men have an added layer of boys don't cry and all that stuff that's also in our culture. But expanding that space, man, that just opens up your whole world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a long journey from even the distinction from your 20s to your 30s. And we talked a little bit about how this journey is just that. It's not a check mark that once we've reached it, we're like complete, which I thought the same thing when I was younger. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I've learned my lessons. And then life just keeps throwing you all these scenarios where you're like,
everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
It's not linear. It's everyone goes through their own journey.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're always a different version of yourself. And that version of yourself needs XYZ variations of support. And
that is another thing, because that's what I struggled with in my 20s, and putting in that work and thinking, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm doing so good for the rest of my life. I'm set. I love how I am. But we go through seasons.
Yeah.
And sometimes you show up as your best version, and some seasons you're down bad.
Yeah.
And so it's just being able to also give yourself grace in those situations. Like, hey, maybe last season I was doing awesome, but this time around, okay, we need some help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Well, a big thing of what I want to do with this project, this podcast, is to spread awareness over things that we all go through. So if there's somebody that's watching this video that's going through difficulty in kind of like what you were saying, they might feel like they're drowning or they're kind of wading through a bunch of really tough emotions, what's one thing that you would want them to hear right now?
I would say you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And the only way it'll get better is if you take steps for it to get better. And that's different depending on where you're at or who you are. It could be talking to someone in your family, in your circle. It could be looking up resources online. It could be just being alone and letting yourself feel your thoughts. It can be reaching out to a therapist. Just make the move to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so we're going to end on a little bit of a game, if you're up for it.
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Okay, so let's see.
Always up for fun.
This is going to be called Chisme o Consejo, where we're going to now put you in the hot seat, therapist seat.
Okay.
And you give your best advice. Okay, so this is going to be kind of random. We're going to ask our lovely assistant over here to choose one. So take it and then hand us one back. Okay, you ready? 2 cards.
I saw a smirk and I'm like, what's on that card?
Okay, so here's the scenario.
Okay.
Your best friend's boyfriend keeps mocking her accent in front of his friends. But he says, it's just a joke. Stop being so sensitive. This is the friend. English is not her first language. And occasionally she'll mispronounce some words and he mimics her accent and says that he's just being playful, but you actually know that she doesn't find it funny and she's embarrassed by it. What would you do?
Oh, man. I know what I should do. I know what I should do, but what I would do is speak up for her.
Yeah?
Yeah. I know that I should tell her, hey, I know this is how you feel, and pull her aside and then give her kind of like hype her up to say something to him, right? But I think that if it's happening in front of me and if I'm taking offense to it and this is someone I care about and love, then I think that I would address it with him. And going back to picking your battles, right? Easy that I could say, okay, I'm not going to pick this one and she's going to just talk to him herself. But no, like that would be a battle I picked. Yeah. I'm going to say something because he needs to hear it from someone else. He needs to realize that this isn't just offending her, but you're offending everyone else like her.
Yeah.
Everyone else in her situation. And it's not okay. And I will stand up for my people and I will stand up for my friends. So, yeah. And I wouldn't be nice about it either. I love it. I would not be nice about it either. They would know.
Yeah, they would know not to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you.